Welcome to The Method, real talk for real people, and this is your announcer, always me, Dee Marie, coming straight at you from Perkins School of Theology on the campus of Southern Methodist University. And if you're excited like I'm excited to be here, let me hear you make some noise. Come on, Mustangs, let me hear you make some noise. This episode of The Method is sponsored by Better Community Development Incorporated, Denman Hamilton and Associates CPAs, and St. Andrew United Methodist Church Little Rock. It's time for the talking to begin. You're listening to The Method, real talk for real people.
What's up, Mustangs? Yes, we are here for The Method, real talk for real people. We are recording from a place that's been empowering world leaders for over 100 years, and I am so happy to be here at Southern Methodist University on tonight. Now, we're here to gain some insight on what it takes to make our world better. So we have some of the greatest theological minds in the world on this episode, and I don't know about you, but I'm excited about that because they are going to shed some light on how we can bring healing to our communities. Now, we're here to slam injustice Perkins style. We have some awesome theology students here to give us their take on slamming injustice to help lead us in a conversation to make our world a better place. So what I've learned since becoming the host of The Method is that all of our destinies are connected in some sort of way. So according to Dr. Ruben Habito, world religions professor and Zen Buddhism expert here at Perkins, this term is called global dukkha. Now, this is a Buddhist term, and it's used to explain the problematic human conditions as a result of Western greed on a global scale. So this has put the quality of life for everybody in the world in jeopardy. Now, what I've also learned about global dukkha from research is that it gives us an understanding on how everyone's lives are intertwined. It also gives us an understanding on how the misappropriations of funds around the globe are marginalized, or how they've marginalized millions of people, including people in our country. So the staff and crew of The Method are hoping that tonight we can begin to come up with a proactive way that we can live in a community to help bring some healing to the world. And we want people's eyes to be open to the endless possibilities, because there are so many, on what can be done to make the world different in our own backyards, no matter where we are. So let's see what some famous people have to say about change. If there is no struggle, there is no progress. One of my favorite quotes, that's from Frederick Douglass. Change is the law of life, and those who look only to the past or present are certain to miss the future. That's from JFK. Never believe that a few caring people can't change the world, for indeed that's all who ever have. Margaret Mead. The world hates change, yet it is the only thing that has brought progress. And that's from Charles Ketterling. I'm about to go out into the audience and see what some of our resident theologians have to say about change.
Hi, my name is Ailey Pope, and I think that change begins with yourself. I think that before we try to go out and change and make an impact, we've got to begin to change in our own communities. We've got to begin to feed kids before they go to school. We've got to begin to pull them aside and give them history. We've got to begin to let them know that somebody loves them. We've got to begin at home. And if we can begin to love from the inside out, then I believe that we can affect the world, because the world is, after all, watching us.
Cynthia Riller. Change has to be accepted, though, by teachers before we can change our children. Our parents have to be respected by their teachers. We cannot be told that we don't know what we're talking about when we go in talking about our children and asking for them to change the way that the school is taught.
All right, thank you for that. And you have a comment on change as well?
I do. My name is Randy Melville. I'm reminded of a quote by Mahatma Gandhi, and I'll paraphrase, which, if you want to see a change in the world, let that change begin in me.
All right, well, those are some very good thoughts that were brought up, and I think it's great responding. That way we kind of know, and the talk is going to begin here with us on how to change the negativity of the world and the way things are going, but how can we possibly help buffer the shock of change? People don't like change. They don't like new things. It might even be sort of a culture shock. What is this? I'm used to the old way of doing things. I know the last show was even on racism, and I encountered that earlier today at work hands-on. And it just let me know there are so many things that are just still alive here in this world. People do not want to change. I should be able to walk up to you and say, hey, how are you? My name is KV Knox, and I shouldn't get a turn or at least a shoulder, or maybe don't touch my hand, touch my shirt or my coat because I don't want to touch you. Yeah, that happened earlier today, which was fine in a group setting too, but it was okay. But that way, how do you get someone to change? How can you buffer that? How can you make that a little easier for someone that might be shocked from change?
My name is Trey Burns. I think what we really have to do in these situations is be educative. So talk about why we're making these changes, because I think a lot of people can shut down, if you just throw something in their face and say, this is what we're doing now, this is the new way. But if you really take the time and be intentional and say, this is why we're doing this, and this is, what we're trying to combat, and this is what we're looking forward to in the future. I think that can help draw people along in the process, and that might help.
So I'm going to piggyback off of you, and I'm going to stay right here by you for just a second. So are you a student or a professor? Okay, so as a student, I had to make sure. Are you from here?
From Houston.
Okay, from Houston. So thinking about the things that you're learning now and taking that back to your area, what would be some concerns or things that go off in your mind that you've seen that you feel that you would need to address going back even to your own hometown?
I mean, I think it depends on the specific person. I can think of a specific example at my home church. I won't use the name just in case they happen to be listening to the radio in Little Rock. But just in that example, they have a lot of trouble with women in leadership. That is something that doesn't happen a lot at my church. And so trying to, show ways that we can bring that about. We've had really good pastors who have made it an intentional step to put women in committee leadership positions to show them, this is an example of what a woman in leadership can do. And then, in a church context, you preach sermons, you teach Bible studies, you do stuff like that brings all of these ideas together. And so in a church setting, I think you might actually be helped out because you're dealing with theological issues, and you can actually sit down and have this biblical discussion. You can have this theological discussion, and you can say, this is where I'm coming from, and this is where I think God is leading us, in a religious sense.
Okay, those answers really have given me something to think about. I mean, we're going to continue our conversation about change through poetry. But before we do that, we need to take a quick break, and we're going to hear a word from our sponsors. But before we take that break, I've got one question for you. Do you like the method? Let our listeners know. You're listening to The Method, Real Talk for Real People here at SMU.
Like the method? Then follow us all the time. Like the method on Facebook, hit us up on Instagram, or follow us on Twitter at The Method 3. It's easy. By doing this, you are able to ask our empowerment guest questions, give us immediate feedback on the show, gain access to empowerment information, see listings of music used for the show, and post pictures and shout-outs. We look forward to your posts and tweets. Thanks for supporting The Method, Real Talk for Real People.
This empowerment message is sponsored by the business experts, Denman, Hamilton & Associates, CPAs. When it comes to making sound financial decisions, it's good to start financial empowerment as soon as possible. Maybe you could start with a budget and stick to it. It's always good to buy things on sale, and most importantly, invest your money. Make an appointment with the business experts. This is Emily Robnett, Masters of Divinity student at Perkins School of Theology, and I am glad to know Denman, Hamilton & Associates supports the method, Real Talk for Real People.
This empowerment message is sponsored by St. Andrew United Methodist Church. Here are some suggestions that you might want to consider when reaching out to others. First, you have to care about people no matter who they are. And then, you have to go where they are. And most importantly, you have to respect others. Respecting others is very important. This is Peter, Masters of Divinity student at Perkins School of Theology. And I'm glad to know that St. Andrew United Methodist Church supports The Method, real talk for real people.
That's right. You're listening to The Method, real talk for real people. And we are slamming injustice tonight through poetry. Our first poet is new to the spoken word scene, but not new to radio. We have Dee Marie stepping out to the mic to give us a lyrical offering. She is a first-year Master's of Divinity student right here at Perkins School of Theology. And she's also the creator of The Method. So put your hands together for Dina Marie Hamilton as she takes the mic to slam injustice.
What's up, Perkins? Yes, I am new to the lyrical scene, and for me personally, if I'm going to slam injustice, I'm going to do it using love. I really take seriously Luke 10:27 when Jesus tells us to love God and love others, but that other one is really hard. It's hard to love other people, and I'm challenged to do that every day, especially in ministry. And something that I've learned is if we do love people at that genuine brotherly love, sisterly love kind of thing, we have to be genuine in what we do. Like when we go out, wherever we end up working in ministry, we really have to, we have to be intentional, but we really have to be authentic. And I just feel like if we do it out of love of God and love of others, it's going to show in our actions. It really will. And the poem that I'm going to do is really a song by Prince that talks about love. But when you think about love to the nines, that means you're going to love with everything that you have. And I'm going to show my age when I say this, but this song came out in 1993 when I was a senior in high school. So what that tell you, I'm older than what I look. So I'm going to be like our lyrical poet, Chris James in Arkansas. Clap if you like it, and if you don't like it, act like you like it anyway. All right, Love to the Nines by His Purple Majesty Prince. Say, could you love me like a river? A river you say will never run dry. I want to hear you say forever. But instead of a smile, I'd rather see you cry. So don't use that magical, mysterious, intoxicated, joy, fantastic, fascinating word called love unless you love me to the nines. This is the only kind of love that I've been dreaming of, the kind of love that takes over your body, mind, and soul. Love to the nines. To the nines. I want to be loved to the nines. I want to be loved, sugar. I want to be loved for all times. So, baby, take a really good look at my face. 'Cause, honey, it just might be the last time. So maybe you should have played an ace. Instead, you played a queen. You'd be better off cheating than trying to read my mind. So don't use that magical, mysterious, intoxicated, joy, fantastic, fascinating word called love unless you love me to the nines. This is the only kind of love that I've been dreaming of. The kind of love that takes over your body, mind, and soul. Love to the nines. To the nines. I want to be loved to the nines. I want to be loved, sugar, and I want to be loved for all times. Thank you.
Taking it back, but bringing it to the present with Prince. I like that. I like that, Dee Marie. Give her another hand for that. So we're going to kind of transform that a little bit. Loving someone to the nines. Loving your neighbor to the nines. To the point that we use that love to fight injustice. We got to tie it all in together. I've made a new friend, Mr. Melville. we're going to kind of piggyback off of each other and even start a discussion on loving your neighbor to the nines. How are we going to be able to do that? You as, your students, you're here. This is what you're learning to do. You have to go back out into this crazy, crazy world and change the minds, again, of others that don't want to be changed in order for us to have a better world. So how can we start with changing that love within ourselves to love our neighbor to the nines?
It's a very good question and something very hard to do. Unconditional love is very hard to do, but I think it starts with, you mentioned it, first loving yourself. And I think when you come from a place of acceptance, it's much easier to love others. And then secondly, I would say, in terms of loving your neighbor, you have to be clear around your motivation for the love. If your love is extended with the aim of changing someone or having them do a different act, that typically doesn't work. But if your love is pure in terms of loving them, then I think that has a better opportunity to elicit the change that you're trying to make.
You can clap. It's okay. You can clap. They're like, do I clap? Do I not clap? No, but that's good. And even that one word that stuck out to me was motivation. You have to be motivated to do that. Sometimes the best change is motivation, and you have to motivate yourself to make that change. And I'm going to bring this even to the shirt that I have on today. Have to shout out Faithful Chicks Boutique, Miss Crystal Perkins. Faithful Chicks Boutique. My shirt says, I'm about that life. Woman down to the cross. I'm about that life. So are you really about what you're learning and what you're studying and what you're teaching and what you're attempting to show others? Are you motivated enough to be about that life and make that change so that when you see that injustice, you can stop someone and say, hey, that's not right. It should be this way. And if they say, well, what do you mean it should be this way? Of course, you're able to back that up again, like he said earlier, through teachings and showing, and it, again, starting at home, how it should be. Having that motivation in order to simply make that change. So taking it not only to that 100th power, but it's something I've seen before called 212 degrees. You're going a step above to make that happen. And that's the mentality that we have to have in order to change the world. So we're going to go to another poet. Our next poet is Emily.
And she ain't even here. Where is she?
Emily took a break on us. But I love her boots, though, as she walks back in. I love the boots. Emily is a second-year Master's of Divinity student here at Perkins School of Theology. Yes, she deserves a hand clap for that. And not only that, she's social life chair of the Perkins Student Association and the one that put this fabulous event together. So let's give her definitely a big, big hand for that. Emily is going to take us to school on how to deal with injustice from a feminine perspective. So you have to give it up for the marvelous Emily Robnett as she comes to slam injustice.
So I'm actually new to this scene too. I've never ever done this before, but it's always been on my bucket list. So glad to cross one of those off. This is a poem that I wrote. It's called My Girl, and it's not what you would expect. He picked her out of all the little girls, and she was wriggling excitement. She was snuggly love, and he took her home, and he called her My Girl. Now, my girl was spirited. My girl was playful. My girl loved his touch. Yes, she did. My girl was obedient. My girl heard his no, no, no. My girl waited for him to return home every day. My girl existed for his pleasure. But my girl got lonely. And my girl did the bad thing. My girl did what he didn't like. My girl knew beating. My girl knew pain. My girl hated his touch. My girl knew quaking, terror, bruises. My girl felt his chains, weight, shackles. My girl grew skittish, timid, afraid. My girl ached. My girl knew silence. But this girl wields her spirit. This girl's passion seeps deep into her bones. This girl will not wait for you to choose her. This girl loves your touch on her terms. This girl does not exist for your pleasure. This girl won't hear your no because this girl don't need your permission. This girl rejects your chains that weight, your shackles. This girl will not carry your burdens. This girl won't be beaten with your words, with your hands. This girl is not skittish. This girl is not afraid. This girl soars on her freedom. This girl will do the bad thing, and this girl don't care if you don't like it. This girl is fierce. This girl knows no silence. This girl knows that women are not dogs. And this girl, in her freedom and her strength and with her voice, will unleash women from their shackles. Because women deserve better. Because my girl deserves better. Thank you.
So, what are some ways that we can stop injustice against women?
I am Samuel Thomas. All right. I saw this somewhere, but those of power, those who do have some influence, should see that and they should lift them up. You know what I mean? Like, if you do have a voice somewhere, then you have to make sure to raise up the voice of those that don't have a voice. I think that's the best way, because if they cry out for the voice, they're like, oh, there they go again. You know, they just want the power. You know what I mean? And so they'll always end up looking like the bad guy. So those of power have to be the ones that, like, go down and say, hey, their voice is just as valid as our voice.
Hi, I'm Stephanie Hayes. For me, I think about two things. One is that we can't choose who our neighbor is. We love everyone. And something that goes along with that is we also have to get out of our bubble. We have to be comfortable with uncomfortable and just diving into places and situations that aren't going to be, oh, happy, sunshiny, like, yay, Sunday morning church. It's going to involve the real and sad and pain. But learning that we have to love everyone and become uncomfortable.
Before we introduce the next poet, I just want to extend a big, big thank you on behalf of the staff and crew of The Method. We appreciate you for letting us fellowship with you guys, come into your home, and also have this great discussion and poetry slam for tonight, because it has definitely been a good thing. So our next poet is not shy about speaking her mind, but she has the heart of a lion. She is young and definitely gifted. She is the president of the Black Seminarian Association, and she is a second-year student in the Masters of Theological Studies program. So give it up for the one, the only, Ailey Pope, slamming injustice tonight on the campus of SMU.
Oh my God, they're far too kind. Look, if I heard somebody once say, if that's my resume, then boy, am I something else, man. I really just am and I learned this from my mom. I call her my mom at Perkins, Miss Leo Melville, the current president of PSA, that I'm just a servant. And if God wants me to roar, I'm roaring for him. The piece I'm about to do is called Around Me is Chaos. It's pretty heavy, and I want to deal with some honest issues, so I hope you guys can flow with me, and I hope you enjoy it. Around me is chaos. Kids dying at rapid speeds, women dying from domestic violence, and yes, it's a disease. Plagues kill spirits in pews. People walking around holy places feeling lost, cold, and misused. Sitting on a ticking time bomb, and I can't find the wires to defuse. As around me is chaos. Offering plates, taking money to feed their own greed. Poor people still sit in seats in spiritual and physical need while we sit and sing. Around me is chaos. My brothers and sisters are constantly strung up and abused while my people's pain and anger is plastered on the news. Reporting live while we lie. Blacks are losing their lives. Hispanic kids are denied. Iraqi children are crucified. All while we deify our way of life. Around me is chaos while we spew hate to one another. Wall Street is constantly running numbers. And while the world still goes round, we pay $80 to see Mayweather go around while the world continues to fall down. Pillars that were built to contain you and I now fall on top of the dreams of you and I. Manifest plus destiny must not equal me or the rest of the world that looks like or praises like me. Around me is chaos. Around me is chaos. Around me is chaos. When will we get up and tell the world to stop? Wake up. Take up your arms, your pens and your pads. Free your people from their chains like Douglas, Truth, and Tubman. Free them from their chains like King X and Davis. Free them from their chains like Chavez, Romero, and Mandela. Only you have the power to stop the chaos.
This has truly been an amazing experience. We've talked about a lot of different things on how to plant those seeds of change for the world. We'd like to thank our poets. They've given us a lot of things to think about. At this time, we'd like to ask the president of the Perkins Student Association, Dr. Leo Melville, to offer us some words of insight. I saw those hands go up. Go ahead.
Clap.
You better
Give
make
it
some
up.
noise.
Give it up.
You're president now.
Thank you. I just love this place. I love that we get to come together in ways that bring us to a point that we have to do something. When we leave, we'll go different directions, but then we come back together, we have to do something. I was thinking earlier about going out and helping, and in response to a question that somebody said, well, how do we help these women? And what came in my spirit was, Jesus came for me. I couldn't do some things for myself, so Jesus came for me. And I feel so excited because it makes me think that he came and then he left. So as we come together tonight and we think about the power of the word, spoken, written, or otherwise, how is it, brothers and sisters in Christ, will we come together tonight and do something exceptional? And then how will you leave changed by the word? I want to thank you for being here tonight. I hope there was something that changed you, something that made you uncomfortable, something that you will take away and struggle until you get to strength. Good night.
You've been listening to The Method, real talk for real people. This episode of The Method is sponsored by Better Community Development Incorporated, restoring lives, rebuilding communities. Denman Hamilton and Associates CPAs, make an appointment with the business experts today. And St. Andrew United Methodist Church, Little Rock, where we're a people helping people. Don't forget to like us on Facebook and follow us on Instagram and Twitter at The Method 3. Executive producer and host, Kristen Veazey Knox. Produced by Deborah Bell, Chester Jones, C.E. McAdoo, and William Robinson Jr. Technical director, Doug Pierce. Technical support provided by Perkins School of Theology and is created and written by Dina Marie Hamilton. In the words of Mahatma Gandhi, we must be the change we wish to see in the world. This is your announcer, always me, Dee Marie, thanking you for your support and being down with the method. Be blessed and be empowered. The Method Real Talk for Real People is an Opportunity Knox production.